What makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard? Beyond the Junkyard.
What is up, everybody? Happy New Year to everyone. It has been way too fucking long since we've met last, and it is my fault kind of that we weren't able to be on the show last week. By the way, if you all get the norovirus, which you'll know if you get the norovirus, because you won't be able to stop shitting or puking for about 2 days straight. And so you'll know. But we're back. We're healthy. It's 2025. My man, Kody Marinara, as always, is here. How are you in 2025, my friend? It feels like it's been a while since we've been on.
It does feel like it has been quite a minute. Most of us are totally healthy. I don't know what I have. COVID, cold, it's something. Definitely not the norovirus. I didn't have whatever you guys had. Thank God for that. So throat's a little hoarse, a little sore. Got some warm fluids here. So hopefully we can get through the show in relatively one piece. Friends, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy 2025. Been a crazy first couple of days of 2025. So stay safe, first and foremost. Hopefully everybody had a happy and healthy and safe New Year. Prior to those that have been affected with things that have happened, it seems like across the country so far. Crazy times, indeed. But we're here. We're in living color. So besides the sore throat and a little bit of a sickness, I'm doing quite well. Maybe something soured my sauce over the weekend. I don't know. Something happened, but something will not sour our sauce this upcoming Saturday night. We'll get to that later. But Sir James Jim JYJ, how are you doing this fine second day of the year of our Lord 2025?
I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. I'm just happy that I'm able to keep food down, and it not go literally straight through my system in one way or the other. But not to gross anybody out. Let's move forward here. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Links in the description for our affiliate partners. We're heading into WrestleMania season. John Cena makes his final year run starting this Monday, I believe, on Netflix. He has some merchandise on WWE Shop. And look, use our link in the description box below and splurge all you want on that WWE merchandise as we head towards WrestleMania in Vegas this April. I know DJ Wavy D and some of the guys in another Discord group that we're in, they're going to be partying it up in Vegas this April. Maybe they can get some WWE merch to bring to Vegas with them. I don't know. Click that link for the WWE shop and help support the podcast. Same thing with W Energy, trying to take down the big energy brands. You know who they are. They got their energy powder mix. And you use the code Beyond the Yard at checkout, you get 10% off. And then if you want to buy you some tickets to a football game or a wrestling show, go to StubHub and click the link in our description box and go support the podcast that way. But a newer way that you can help support the podcast is by going to our merch store, beyondthejunkyard.com. Get you your totally unbiased Beyond the Junkyard t-shirt, or I got another one right here. Support the podcast this way. Get the logo tee with the QR code on the back. That I'm wearing this on Saturday. You talked about Saturday. I'm wearing this shirt on Saturday. Hopefully people will be clicking this QR code and introducing themselves to the Junkyard Media Group that way. But go to beyondthejunkyard.com and all of the merch will be there. I've been slacking. I told Kody Marinara I am going to get a shirt for him. I just haven't put it up there yet. But I did get that beanie up there that you asked for. So there's a beanie on the website. But anyway,
definitely we'll be snagging one of those.
And I understand that the pricing on the website that we use, their shipping costs, I don't get to determine those shipping numbers. So there is a code on the website. I've tried to help negate some of the cost there. If you use the code unbiased, you get 30% off of your order. I've kept that on there for the time being, just simply because the cost of shipping is absolutely outrageous, and I don't know why it costs so much to ship. But anyways, let's get to the rundown. Wavy D says, y'all better be coming to Vegas. I'll find you your flights and hotels. Man, I gotta see if I can even get off for that. To be honest, I'm already taking a week off the week before to go to Florida for another conference. So I don't even know if I'll be able to get back-to-back weeks off. But I'll be watching, and I'll see what goes on, Wavy D. Maybe I'll make a trip out to Vegas. I don't know. I really have no idea. And this guy's a married man, so to get him out of the state is
You make it seem like the wife is an evil empress. It's not the case at all.
No, you just
go to DC for a football game. Yeah, no problem. Now Vegas, though, is a whole different animal. I'm not really sure if that'll happen. However, I'll be saving up for 2027 when Mania comes to Nashville. At that point, right. I think we'll be able to go to that.
That'll be a good one. But the rundown today, there isn't a whole lot of news on the AEW side to talk about. We're starting the new year, and it's always difficult with the new year beginning with AEW storylines. They're kind of all over the place because the next couple weeks last couple weeks leading into the new year, and then the first week or so of the new year is all built on a lot of AEW's wrestlers are in Japan right now, so there's not a whole lot of big storylines. But we're going to talk about a couple of things. So I want to mention, I want to talk about the Jeff Jarrett promo that happened on Dynamite last night. There's a name change in the AEW roster that I've seen mixed reviews on the name change. Some positive, some negative, and then a re-debut, a return next week to AEW television that I think everyone is ready for. We'll start the show though with K-Dog tallying up the totals of the 2024 pay-per-view pick'em prediction numbers. I know he beat the ever-living shit out of me because I did pretty bad for World's End. I was way off on that thing. Wavy D says, I thought Megan Thee Stallion was a bad theme song, but man, AEW said, hold my coffee, and dropped an even worse theme song. No, I don't mind the theme song change. And I think it might just be a 1 week thing, to be honest. I don't know.
God, I hope so.
Tony Khan, let's talk about this because Collision on Saturday will have the Elton John theme song again. Tony Khan got this new TV deal. I don't know if you saw the breakdown. He gets $3.6 million a week now from Warner Bros. And so he just decided to spend his first $3.6 million buying the rights to 2 of these songs. It's not the best wrestling theme song, but it's certainly like made me look up from my phone for a minute to be like, what the hell am I listening to? But
yeah, I was like, is there a glitch going on? What's going on here? And then nope, it was sure enough, it was Dynamite. Yeah, that was interesting.
And then we'll end the show by talking about Dynamite. Overall, I watched it on Max last night. I just wanted to see if it was going to be different than the TBS broadcast, and in some ways it is. We'll talk about that experience there, but let's start off. How did we do at World's End, and then the overall tally of pay-per-view numbers?
Yeah, so one thing that I think we'll try to do a little bit better job of is, and this is totally just flying off the wall, so this is even news to our lovely host over here, but maybe we can do some sort of prediction show, either the day of the pay-per-view. I don't want to say we're going to do live streams of every pay-per-view, although that would be cool. Just because it seems like when we get to our prediction shows on Thursday nights, which typically are 2 days to 3 days before the pay-per-view, Dynamite's already happened. So usually you think you know what the lineup is for a pay-per-view. But as we all well know, Mr. Khan sometimes likes to fly by the seat of his pants and book a show or book a match or two the day of the show, the day before a show. So we're going to see if we can do a little bit better job as to maybe correlating as to get the official correct numbers, because there are quite a few matches we did not predict in each pay-per-view because we didn't have a match until the day of the show. With that being said, you went 5-3 at World's End. I went 6-2. We both did not get the Adam Cole match, MJF. I think we all probably thought that Cole would win. He did not. We got both Ospreay right to beat Fletcher. You had Ricochet beating Okada. I had Okada winning over Ricochet, but I had Ospreay winning the C2. You had Ricochet. They both did not win. So interesting dynamic on how that is. We got every other match right correctly as that happened. So to close out 2024, your record was 71-24. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Mine was in 15. So, hey, listen. The fact that I was, running away with the thing, and it only closed up a little bit there towards the end, I think is a pretty good, strong showing from you, sir. So here's to 2025 full of maybe closer results. We'll see.
Yeah, we start this week. I'm just kidding. We're not doing Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh God, no.
Which, by the way, if you want to, Saturday night at 11 o'clock Eastern, if you are bored, you can turn on New Japan World. I will be sitting in the parking lot of Bojangles Coliseum. And that's when Wrestle Kingdom comes on. So I'll watch it eventually, but I won't watch it live. It's too late at night, and I got to drive home. So, yeah, it was fun. I'm sure we can tweak some things, make it more interactive with everyone. Maybe we can do something with the Discord where we post the matches and keep a Discord tally or something. We can make it a little bit more user interactive for the people, and maybe promote the Discord a little bit that way as well. I want to answer Wavy D's comment here. He said, I heard Monet had match of the night. Tells me the show might have not been the best. Now, I think I was the one that told him Monet had the match of the night. And to me, her and Chris Statlander was match of the night, behind both of Ospreay's, both of Ospreay's are slightly behind Monet. But to the effect of how everybody else thought that this pay-per-view was like God's greatest thing on earth, it really wasn't. It was just a mid AEW pay-per-view. Wasn't the greatest thing on earth. It had a couple good matches. It felt to me kind of in the same light as Ring of Honor Final Battle, where some of the earlier matches were the better matches, and then the main event kind of spoiled the show. Because I was not a big fan of that main event of World's End. I guess before we get into Dynamite, are there any words, anything that you want to talk about World's End wise? Obviously, we get the big debut of Cope, a re-debut of Cope, but overall, it kind of felt a little sloppy from a pay-per-view perspective for me.
Yeah, I thought it was a B tier pay-per-view, and it performed like a B tier pay-per-view from an AEW perspective. There were some good matches. Monet and Statlander had a good match. I thought Mariah May and Thunder Rosa put on a pretty good performance. A totally different type of match than just about anything else on the card, so I don't think you can fairly judge it. And everything else it was good, but it wasn't your typical, knock your socks off type of AEW show that we're accustomed to seeing, but that's okay. You're not going to have, perfection after perfection or banger after banger. The re-debut of Cope was interesting with the whole rated FTR thing. Seeing Kenny Omega return, I'm not exactly thrilled with the way that we're bringing him back and reintroducing him. Maybe we can hit on that a little bit more into the show if I still have a voice. But yeah, I'm not a fan of what they're doing with that. But overall, it's a good show for sure.
Absolutely. Now, I think I feel like I have to preface to this almost every time I kind of talk negatively about an AEW pay-per-view. It's still a good show. Like, in the grand scheme of things, and a C- AEW pay-per-view is like a B+ WWE pay-per-view, in my opinion. Like, a really bad pay-per-view for AEW is something that we really haven't seen very often. So I didn't come into the Saturday night expecting it to like tear the house down because of like it's a lower level pay-per-view in AEW's canon, really honestly built to end storylines at the end of the year. That's kind of what it's meant to be, kind of like it's the last pay-per-view of the year. So any straggling storylines that we have, we can kind of close the book on them, which thank God is what we're doing with Adam Cole and MJF, because we don't need another one of those matches. But yeah, let's get into Cope. We mentioned he made his re-debut back at World's End, but he had a name change on Wednesday, no longer going by the Rated R Superstar Adam Copeland. He is now going by the Rated R Superstar Cope. And when I heard that, I was like, what in the hell? Why did they just call him Cope? Why isn't it Adam Copeland? I was confused because typically, like those kind of things, because I'm in the Fightful.com space, and Sean Ross Sapp is really good at tipping off some of that information. A lot of that info I already know beforehand. I didn't know anything about this. Adam Copeland even has gone so far as to trademark the name Cope. And I have my theories behind it. A week or so ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, WWE had filed the trademark for the name Edge. And I just wonder if maybe Adam Copeland saw that they hadn't re-upped the trademark and pursued it. And WWE just won the trademark. And so he's gone by Edge, so maybe that's what he was going for. I'm not too sure the reason for the name change. It's a little weird. It'll get some time adjusting to it, but I think, look, he's at the tail end of his career. I don't necessarily think it's that big of a deal that he's going by the name Cope. It's part of his last name. We already call him that anyway on social media. So It's not like it's something out of left field. It's not like he's calling himself T-Bar or something like that. And WWE's certainly come up with worse names for characters. So, and AEW has come up with worse names for characters. Well, there's a guy named Trench in AEW. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It'll take some time adjusting to it. We all know him as Edge, I think, anyway. So, I don't know. I'm cool with it. It's not that big of a deal. I think this is just one of those things where the people that hate AEW can just grab on to the low-hanging fruit and make fun of it. It's not that big of a deal, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at the grand scheme of things, that if this was an Adam Copeland decision, I mean, it is what it is. I think everybody. It definitely took me surprised to hear the Radar Superstar Cope. I think maybe it's just a shorter way of just saying Copeland, Adam Copeland. Just shorter to Cope. If people call him, Cope backstage, if they just say, you know what, instead of saying Adam or Adam Copeland, let's just use Cope. Who are we to really decide that? If that was a Adam Copeland and a Tony Khan move, so be it. I don't hate it. It is gonna get it's gonna get a little bit to get used to, but I'm not against it. It is a little weird for sure, but it is what it is at this point. I feel in AEW you have a lot of creative freedom, and if that's just what Mr. Edge wanted to go with, then let it be known that it's gonna be hard either way for fans to just call him Adam Copeland or Cope after being called Edge and being known as Edge for 20 something years. So I think naturally people are still gonna probably just call him Edge. But having Cope, 4-letter word, Edge, 4-letter word, maybe can cross over a little bit easier. I don't know, but yeah, it's not a deal breaker for me. I don't hate it. It's just gonna take a little bit to get used to.
Absolutely, yeah. And Caleb said basically the same thing. He said Cope is better than Adam Copeland, but I'm gonna forever call him Edge. The fans know him as Edge. Like it's again one of these, like they're grasping at straws to find something to blame AEW for. But yeah, guys, if you're in the chat, we might show you on the show just to let everyone know. Wavy D put the rated TV-MA really good star Cope. It's actually rated TV 14. So, anyways, let's move on. Jeff Jarrett at World's End made a promo saying he had an announcement for this Wednesday, and everyone kind of felt like it was one of those retirement things where he's going to tease that he's retiring and basically say that he's not retiring though because he wants one more ride, and that's exactly what it was. The Last Outlaw is going to have his last ride, not by The Undertaker, but he's going to have his last ride. And AEW signed his, I guess it's a 1-year contract. That he didn't give specifics on how long his contract is, but he says he's going for the AEW World Championship, which, to be honest, isn't something that I felt like Jeff Jarrett would be saying at this point in time in his career. But you get me a Jeff Jarrett versus Jon Moxley, no rules, no holds barred type of match, and that might do something for me. I don't know what I feel about Jeff Jarrett calling out the World Championship like that. We had a lot of people claim their stake at the World Championship last night. NJF, Jeff Jarrett, Jay White. So it's good that we're getting some people to line up for Moxley. But your thoughts on Jeff Jarrett making calling his shot for the AEW World Heavyweight title?
Interesting. I mean, it is what it is. I don't foresee him winning the world title. Jeff Jarrett is, I think, in most respects, a respected personality. I don't think he's as loved as, say, a Sting or a Daniel Bryan or even a Copeland. So I don't think that if he gets his last ride as potentially, challenging for the AEW World title, that fans are going to overly love it. God, I hope it's not a main event of a pay-per-view, because even I would crap all over that. That would not be what I expect out of AEW. Now, I feel that every well-known superstar should be able to go out on their own terms, however they can, if they're able to. Sting did it. Daniel Bryan Danielson, he did it. I feel Copeland is doing the same thing. Dustin Rhodes is doing the same thing. And I feel that, and to some extent, CM Punk is doing the same thing. I don't know how long Punk is going to be wrestling for, but it seems that I would assume that maybe he has some sort of steering force as to pertain how maybe who he wants to match up with, his storylines and whatnot. Cena obviously is going to have one last ride here in 2025, and that's going to be magical all the way through. So in this era and day and age, I feel nostalgia is the lay of the land in some of the aspects. So I think that any of these older wrestlers who are at the tail end of their careers to have that catchphrase of one last ride or one last full-time run or whatever the case may be, it's going to draw attention to them and hopefully draw more eyes to whatever product they're a part of. Right. But at the same time, I love AEW. Not sure if I would feel a Jeff Jarrett world title run, in my honest opinion. And somebody who likes Jeff Jarrett, but I don't know if I would do that.
So I would be okay with a Jeff Jarrett championship match if it was like one of the things where like next week he won the gauntlet match and then he had a match on a Dynamite for the title and then Moxley obviously goes over. But I'm in agreement with you. I don't think it's a pay-per-view worthy feud. You shouldn't build a 2-month program around Moxley and Jeff Jarrett. When Jeff Jarrett started talking about the history of his family, I thought he was going to mention Dixie Carter, and I would have loved to see the reaction had he did mention Dixie Carter. But I don't know. Like Jeff Jarrett, he is a legend in the game. He has a historical family name. I just don't know how to take these. This is my last ride promos because I could have sworn like 3 years ago Dustin Rhodes did the same promo, and he's been working. This is now his second contract that he signed since that promo, or maybe I'm dreaming the promo. I really have no idea, but I could have sworn Dustin Rhodes like threatened to retire several years ago, and he's still here. He just re-signed with AEW himself, so it's cool to see AEW have some of these legends at the back end of their career as part of the show, but there's no need to have them in the main picture. You got to build for the future, and you have a perfectly good chance right here to build a promo or a package between Jay White and Moxley, or Moxley and Hangman, though I think Hangman might be getting ready for his annual first of the year vacation because he's probably getting suspended again for beating the shit out of Christopher Daniels. But I don't know. It's we talked about it a couple episodes ago. Just the main title scene is just kind of mess right now. There's really no clear direction on where they're going. Like I said, MJF caught his shot. Jeff Jarrett caught his shot. And in some way, I felt like Swerve Strickland was calling his shot to go back to being the world champion. At some point in time, you would think that Samoa Joe may come back and want to be a part of that picture.
Jay White obviously has called his shot too.
Jay White. And it's great that we have all these guys wanting the main scene, but we need to clean up the main event picture, because it's just kind of cloudy right now. There's not a whole lot of progress in telling us what's going on. And I guess I got to go back to the special episode of the Slapping Meat Wrestling podcast that Meat Slapper Boy, We Too Deep, posted on New Year's Eve, where he basically said it feels like they're holding off for Darby Allin. And I think that's where the picture is Darby Allin's going to be the guy to take the belt off of Moxley. But we have a big problem, which is Darby Allin in March is climbing Mount Everest. So you can't put the title on a guy and just have him disappear and maybe die in a mountain halfway around the world. So I feel like we're kind of in this limbo state where we're kind of see, like, is Darby actually going to climb it, or what's going on? When can we pull the plug and give Darby the belt? And it's really like I've started to see some AEW fans question the longevity of the Death Riders gimmick. And I question the longevity of the Death Riders gimmick, because it's kind of gotten a little stale, that they really haven't done a whole lot to keep us entertained with the story. It's kind of the same thing every week. Where are we going next? Let's see. We talked about Jarrett.
Well, first, we should take a pause for the cause.
Oh, yes, sir.
And wish a fellow Junkyard Media Group member a very happy birthday.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Wavy D. Happy birthday to you.
D.
Appreciate you tuning in tonight on your birthday. What a great birthday gift we're giving you by being live, and you're seeing our beautiful faces, my sick voice, and James's post-puberty voice. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah,
I'm playing with buttons. I'm sorry. But yeah, happy birthday, Wavy D. Thank you for being a loyal watcher of the show and telling everybody. I'm glad to be in your stable in the casual community Discord. So, but anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about Kenny Omega. We mentioned him a little briefly. Kenny Omega came back, and I kind of agree with your earlier statement. I'm not a big fan of he's coming in as the corporate guy kind of thing. Comes back to relieve Christopher Daniels of his post of executive vice president, and hand Okada the belt. Obviously, now, again, I kind of knew this prior knowledge, and this wasn't, like, I don't think, well known, but Kenny Omega and Okada was supposed to take place at All in London last year, but with Kenny Omega having his diverticulitis scare and him not being clear at that point in time, now I guess the point in time when Kenny's healthy to wrestle, we're going to see him wrestle Kid and maybe die at Wrestle Kingdom. But Kenny Omega is rumored to come back to full-time action starting next Wednesday. And it seems like he's in the scene of going after Okada, which I'm cool with, but I'm kind of with you. There was so like so many other ways, so many other things that Omega could have done. It would have been really cool if we ended World's End with a shout out to Double or Nothing 2019 or 2020 when Moxley debuted and like snuck up behind Omega, and we just played that full picture and had Omega been the guy to take on Moxley. I forgot to mention Cope caught out Moxley, so he's in the world title scene as well. But we get Omega and Okada, which we've seen several times before in New Japan. This is the first time we'll see the story take place and the rivalry continue in AEW. And I'm sure it'll be a really great story. I just feel like there's so many other things you could do with Kenny Omega with his return that would be a bigger return for Kenny Omega than, let's just be honest, Okada hasn't been treated very well. His stock's not the highest in the world right now. So it's kind of a very low bar, low risk, high reward scenario with Omega making his return against Okada. Where Moxley or Swerve or somebody else could have been a better play for Omega in terms of drawing power. But we get the Okada Omega storyline once again, and first time in AEW though. Your thoughts on the return?
Yeah, I totally agree. While it's cool to see Omega and Okada stand face to face in the middle of the ring, knowing how amazing their story and their matches were in New Japan. Yes, it excites you as a fan if you've seen that and you've seen their trilogy in New Japan cross over to American Wrestling Television and will be a big storyline, a big match down the road. And there's a couple different things. Hopefully I have enough of a voice to get through with all this. There's a couple different things that I noticed that I'm questioning. So I'm going to try not to, be all over the place. I'm going to try to keep it as even and narrow-roaded as possible. So regarding with Okada and Omega, of course, the shot was Okada and Omega facing, face to face. And in the background is the All in Texas banner. That's 6 months away. And yes. Go ahead.
So let me cut you off there real quick. We had the All In banner, and then on the stage we had the Revolution banner. But
correct.
But let's not forget there's a pay-per-view. There's a pay-per-view in Australia in February.
Yes, I and that's where I didn't want to jump, in 15 different spots at once. But
right.
The AEW always does this, where the very next pay-per-view they have a banner in the corner of the arena, especially after Dynamite, or the Dynamite after the show pay-per-view. And there's no Australia banner anywhere to be seen. They're not even showcasing it on the Titantron, the Titantron, and which they did that for All in London 2 years in a row. God forbid they did that in
right.
They did that in Charlotte. Why? Well, why are we not showcasing that? That's a huge deal. I don't care that you promoted it at Suncorp Stadium and it didn't sell very well, but now you're going into the Brisbane Entertainment Complex and selling like 10, 15,000 tickets. That's awesome. It's great that you're going to be selling out an arena in Australia. Are we even doing the show? Because I've barely seen any promotion for it. It's still listed on the W Events website, but why are we not even paying any attention to this at all? Yeah, you guys had no problem doing this 2 years in a row with All in London and making this a huge deal, which it should have been. Promoting it 6-7 months down the road, but yet we have a show that's literally next month in Australia, a huge deal. First time in Australia. Not a banner, not something on the Tron, nothing.
And so I actually mentioned that last night during Dynamite because that's one of the things that AEW has failed at since its inception is marketing their shows. And you have the All-In banner hanging in the corner, and then on your Titantron is Revolution, which I get. Revolution's going to be a big show. It's in It's in Los Angeles at the Lakers Arena. They're not doing Kia Forum this year, or the Kia Arena or whatever. They're doing the Crypto.com Arena, or Staples Center. I call it Staples Center. That's what I grew up it being. And so I get it. It's a big arena show, but you got a pay-per-view next month. You have a guy in Kyle Fletcher that is from Australia that you should be promoting this left and right. And I asked, like, are we going to promote this? I put this on social media, and I got a couple of responses that were like, just wait till next week. I'm sure they'll start promoting it next week. You should have been promoting this months ago. And I like the only time they ever promoted it was at All in London last year when they introduced the show as being what it was, and then it's almost like they're giving up. It's almost as if they're like, this show's already deemed a failure. We couldn't sell out this big arena, one, because we were overcharging the pricing of the show. I don't know if you saw, before they moved it to the smaller arena, if you saw the pricing of the large arena. So I looked at VIP packages, and the VIP package, like the basic one, was $500, not including the price of a ticket, and the price of the ticket was like $250. So you're paying almost $1,000 to go see this AEW show. It was overpriced, and you had to admit defeat that you weren't able to sell this arena out. You went to a smaller arena. I think it's sold out, but there's no marketing. There's no announcement of what time it'll be, Eastern time, or what time it'll be, LA time. And that kind of stuff is important if you want to get people to watch the show, especially if it's not going to be on Max, which I don't think this pay-per-view will be. I think the idea is the pay-per-view start going on Max towards the middle of this year, not the beginning part of this year. And it's almost like they're just giving up on the show, and whoever watches. They're not really going to make a big deal out of it, which sucks because this could have been the conclusion of Ospreay Fletcher, which maybe it still is the conclusion of Ospreay Fletcher, but they should be promoting the hell out of the Australia show, and they've just failed to do so, and it might be at AEW's detriment on the total number of viewers that show gets.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at Googling to see maybe if Triller TV, if one of the pay-per-view places that you can buy AEW pay-per-views on has started promoting it. I don't see anything, and that's concerning. And I hope that, in a selfish way, I hope that it's not going to be a strictly Australian show, because as an AEW fan, I watch as much of their product as I can. I buy every pay-per-view. I watch as much Collision as I can. I don't watch every, but I do watch a lot. Watch every Dynamite. And I didn't watch a lot of Rampage, I'm not going to lie. But hey, we got to worry about that now. The biggest thing is, and this kind of looks more like an old school WWE thing and a tail end of WCW thing where they did some shows strictly for the country they were in. WWE would do the one night only show in Europe that was strictly for the European crowd. I think they would only let people in Europe buy the pay-per-view. It wasn't even sold to the Americas. Same thing with Millennium Final for WCW in October 2000. That was a German-only pay-per-view. Like, nobody outside of Germany, maybe Poland and Austria, surrounding countries in Germany, were able to watch the pay-per-view. They could order it. It wasn't even available in the States. So in some way, I get it. You want to do something special for those fans. I understand that. However, your main audience is American. You should give your American audience an ability to watch it. New Japan is strictly Japanese, but they still cater to their American fans by doing shows in America and also allowing American fans to purchase New Japan World for Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty, New Year's Dash, Dominion, whatever. So I just, this Australian show so far has not been doing really well. And I don't mean that so much from a ticket aspect, which, yes, the stadium side of it, mainly because it was priced very badly. They didn't do a great job of promoting it to begin with. I don't know what if in the Australian market, if they had been promoting it well. I would have to ask somebody who lives in Australia who's a wrestling fan to see how that is. But I just feel like it's very concerning, and that should not be a thing at all. Transitioning a little bit back from that to the Okada Omega thing. But I'm glad that we had that little side trip because I was going to bring that up. So I'm glad that we talked about that.
Yeah, no worries.
The background was all in Texas, 6-7 months away. And I totally get it. That is a huge, huge, huge show for AEW. You want to start planting seeds. You want to start building towards that show. Obviously, you have pay-per-views along the way, so you need to build out those cards. But that is your biggest show of the year. You got to do all you can to promote it and get ticket sales up, and I get it. However, don't you have this main problem with the Death Riders? Wouldn't you want your biggest star coming back to potentially lead the charge for AEW to gain control of the world title back by going for that guy? And it's not that you just automatically had to go towards him and fight at Revolution, Double or Nothing. You can wait till All in Texas for that. And you could possibly do Omega and Okada at Double or Nothing or Revolution. Give it some time to build. But you should plant the seeds for, hey, Mox, I see you. I want what you have. I want to take back what is rightfully ours. We're not even getting that. We're letting, and I don't want to use this as a totally negative thing. We're letting WWE primary talent now control that storyline. Copeland and FTR are the baby faces in this situation. However, they're not AEW originals. FTR is closer to an AEW original. They came in 2020, but obviously Copeland is a WWE talent who came over. So if he wins it, is it really an AEW original? Is it an AEW themed thing? We need to have as close to an AEW original gain that title back as possible. And I had mentioned this before the year ended last year that I threw out the possibility of what if we have Omega come back and be that savior for AEW. And I'm glad he's back. Maybe it'll get to that point. I hope it does. And I did see somebody post on X about, I really hope that we don't see any elite melodrama within this story of Omega and Okada. You damn well know we're going to get it because it has to happen. How are we going to bring back the Young Bucks? I don't want to see Brandon Cutler. I don't want to see the shenanigans with that. But you have to bring back the Bucks. Hangman is obviously doing his thing, and Kenny is an EVP. You have to intertwine that in some capacity. The Bucks have to try to get the company back too, so they could come back as baby faces as well. But very confusing layout right now as far as why we're placing people the way we are. Yeah, we're planting seeds in some areas, but it's still not exactly making sense when you have this big storyline known as the Death Riders that are kind of controlling the product. People should be trying to vie for the world title left and right and to try to gain control back of AEW from the Death Riders. Not, hey, that's my old foe from New Japan. I want to fight him. I'm not worried about the world title. I'm not worried about somebody taking rampant of my company. I want Okada. It just didn't really flow very well with me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we mentioned this a couple episodes ago as well, but you kind of wonder if, should Tony Khan have other people in charge of what passes the check? Should Tony Khan have somebody else, I guess, as bluntly as possible, do the booking for him? Because he, as far as I understand, he is the final say of creative for most of AEW now. And we're going to get the Young Bucks back, and my assumption would be is they're coming back at Revolution. It's in LA, Laker themed. That's probably when they make their comeback. And okay, that is what it is. Maybe they'll screw over Kenny again. Maybe Jack comes back. Maybe the Elite is back, and then we get like a Blood and Guts or whatever before All In, where Kenny takes the belt off of Okada, or however, like, because they're going to draw this out until that point. That they're already planting those seeds, but in a way, because Kenny Omega, without a doubt, is the biggest name in AEW. As much as the casual fans and whatnot want to say that Kenny Omega doesn't draw numbers, for the people that watch AEW, they love Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is AEW, like in every way possible. Kenny Omega is AEW, and I am happy he's back, but it almost lessens the importance of the Death Rider story to have Kenny Omega not a part of it. But we'll end with one last talking point here, and that is the debut on Max. And I don't know if you watched on TBS or if you watched on Max or if you even watched it live, but it was an experience on Max. To be completely honest. So the Max stream starts 5 minutes before 8 o'clock, I guess, to make sure they got everything running. So for 5 minutes, you just get this big blue screen that says, like, basically like a pay-per-view, the stream is starting soon. So that's cool. You get the Max background music or whatnot. And the biggest question I had with Max was, what are they doing with their commercial time? Like, do we get like for fans internationally that use Triller TV and have AEW Plus and they watch it there, when they go to commercial, they get the commentary instead of the commercial. Well, the big question was, will Max allow us to get the commentary outside of the commercial, or are we going to commercial as well? Well, for about half of the show, we didn't get picture-in-picture. We didn't get any commercials. We got the same 3 ads that they run on Max, as if you were watching normal programming on Max, and you don't have the ad-free plan, and like halfway through an episode, you get the ads that pop up. Every time they would go to commercial, it would cut to the same 3 ads. It was a Disney World ad and 2 other ones. I can't remember what they were. And then like somewhere halfway into the show, it seemed like maybe they figured out how to basically simulcast what we see on TBS to Max, because then we started getting picture-in-picture halfway through the show. We started getting the regular commercials halfway through the show. And so it was just really kind of weird. And obviously it's the first time they're doing this, so there were going to be some bugs and some learning curves. So I don't want to be too hard on it, but it was just kind of weird. My final assessment of it is, if you don't have cable, and this is an option that I'm considering because Hulu's raising their prices and YouTube TV, I think, just raised their pricing. And like, cable TV is expensive. It's like $90 a month to watch. And for me, I don't watch a whole lot of TV outside of sporting events and AEW. So it almost would be a better deal for me to just watch AEW on Max and get rid of Hulu and all of that stuff, and save the $90 a month. And for some people, if you don't have streaming TV or cable or satellite or however you get your TV, this is a good way to watch AEW. And to be completely honest, it's in my opinion, it's probably an easier experience in dealing with YouTube TV or whatever. But if you have YouTube TV and you could watch it on TBS, or if you have Hulu, or if you have Tubi or whatever other streaming, or if you have normal cable and can watch TBS, getting Max just for AEW, unless you want to watch the old stuff that's in the library, which I want to start going back and watching AEW 2019, and that might be something we do on this show in the future, where we watch an old episode and talk about the differences in presentation and stuff. Because I know there's probably episode full of changes that they've done since episode 1 to episode now. And I don't know. It's to me, it's not worth getting Max just to watch AEW live. Now the library and the pay-per-view catalog and all of that, I would pay $9.99 for that. But if I was just wanting to watch it live, I already have TBS, so it wouldn't persuade me to watch it on Max every week.
Yeah, I didn't watch it on Max. I actually watched it on YouTube TV, which is what I have. So I'm glad that you watched it on Max, so we can kind of have a difference of what we experienced on that. I think the reason why I didn't watch it on Max was because I already have YouTube TV, yes, but I was fearful because I usually don't watch Dynamite right at 8. About 30, sometimes 45 minutes behind. So I didn't know if I went on Max and it would give me the ability to start over from the beginning, or if I had to watch it live. With YouTube TV, I have it recording Dynamite, so I can start over from the beginning. But that was going to be one of my biggest things is, I'm glad that you watched it on Max so we can kind of have that difference of it. We got the picture-in-picture, obviously, because it's on TBS. We got that picture-in-picture throughout the entire show. That was one thing that I was interested in seeing, is because the international feed, they don't have a commercial break. They just play all the way through, commentate all the way through. If maybe that was going to be something that would transition over to Max. It seems like that's not the case at the moment. Obviously, it's episode 1, so maybe there's going to be some bugs being fixed. Maybe that's something down the road they do. But with the way TV prices, streaming prices are going up, people like yourself, myself, I don't really watch besides 5 or 6 TV channels. So cutting $90 from YouTube TV to just go to, Peacock, Netflix, Max, Hulu,
right,
and saving $70, bucks, $60, just so I can watch what I want to watch, and that's it. ESPN Plus as well. Probably got to be the way to go. Streaming is the way to go, but with all these channels, seem they're increasing the prices, but not the content.
Right.
Pretty frustrating. But I'd be interested to see how Max kind of grows within the AEW and doing live stuff, seeing how they change their product up a little bit, see how the pay-per-views do on there eventually later this year. So I'm excited to see what kind of changes will be coming. It would be cool to, like you said, go back to the library and go back through some of the first year of Dynamite, first few months, see what the differences are from a production standpoint, from a show flow standpoint, format standpoint, kind of see where it goes. I will say, just a quick thing from last night's show. The heel turn from Ricochet on Swerve was done so well that I immediately am buying Ricochet as being a heel. He didn't do any of the flippy stuff. He obviously attacked Ricochet without golden scissors, bloodied him up, kept beating him up, sat in that chair, messed around with him, saying, "Oh, you want to embarrass me, huh? You want to embarrass me? How's it feel to be embarrassed?" And just, had the white shirt, got it bloody stained, perfect, image of that. Got the crowd reacted really well to the heel turn, but he didn't do any flippy stuff. And I love flippy stuff, don't get me wrong, but that was such a big 180 of what we're used to seeing from Ricochet that I immediately bought into. All right, this guy's a heel. Right. Let's see what happens. And I just thought that whole segment was done so well.
So I wonder if this and I'll keep it brief because we're almost at an hour now. But I wonder if this is how we introduce Ricochet out of his Ricochet gimmick and into his Prince Puma gimmick. Because him and Swerve were in Lucha Underground together and had a pretty decent feud in Lucha Underground, and he was Prince Puma and Lucha Underground, and it almost leads people to see like how many ex-WWE wrestlers come into AEW and basically replicate their WWE character, and it doesn't pass. It doesn't pass a sniff test with the AEW fans, and now you have to reinvent yourself. Like I can think of several, like Keith Lee, and a bunch of others where they just try to come in doing the same stuff that they did in WWE, and like the AEW fan base isn't just going to allow you to just replicate your character. Like on Monday on Netflix, on Monday Night Raw, when Rey Mysterio's mystery opponent is obviously going to be the debuting Penta, El Miedo. He's just going to be his AEW character again. Everybody knows that. The WWE audience doesn't care if you just replicate your character. To them as a whole, you're on their side now, so it don't matter what you do. There's going to be a complete 180 switch on how WWE fans see Penta now that he's at Team WWE. Whereas with like Ricochet, the AEW fans, I don't think they really bought into the fact that he was Ricochet. And so the fact that he's reinventing himself into something that we haven't seen. He's that menacing laugh he did at the end of that segment. He needs to continue to do that and just go batshit crazy and just continue posting the most absolutely insane stuff on social media. And I think eventually Samantha Irvin becomes part of this character as well, this gimmick as well. She was backstage at World's End. So I think she'll have a part to play inside of this in some way, shape, or form. But Wavy D, yeah. Let me mention Wavy D's comment here real quick. He said, "I always said Penta was a star even before he was rumored to come to WWE. Got to give me credit for that." Absolutely, Wavy D is one of those guys that he's, I guess, considered a casual fan, but he knows a whole lot about the wrestling biz. So you got to give him the credit for that. There, he just doesn't. He's kind of a smarter fan than a lot of WWE fans that just kind of watch it and turn it off and forget about it and then watch it again the next week. But we're going to end the show on a special note because Saturday we're going to AEW Collision live from the Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when tickets went on sale, well, to be honest, the Slap and Me guy told me that he was going to sit with us. So I bought a ticket with the anticipation that he was going to sit with us. And he decided not to go and sit with us and buy his own seat that he always buys at the top of the stadium by himself. So I have an extra ticket to AEW Collision that I've paid for, and I want that seat to be filled. So I'm going to take a loss on this one, a $50 loss on it. It's not that big of a deal. If the first person that tells me on my personal social media, which is at IBEJYJ, that you are able to come and want to watch AEW Collision live in Charlotte, we'll talk about giving you that ticket for free, no strings attached. The only string is you got to sit next to me, and I got a wide frame, so you might be a little cramped. But yeah, we got a ticket that we're trying to give away here. Y'all are the first folks that hear about it. It's going up on social media as well soon. But if you know anyone in the Charlotte area that wants to go to AEW but can't afford to go or haven't gotten a ticket, I got one I'm trying to give. Reach out to me. That's at IBEJYJ, and we can get in contact and see about what I can do to get that ticket to you. Wavy D got one bonus question for Kody for trivia. Jason says, I haven't seen picture-in-picture on Max. I'm near the end. They may have edited out the picture. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't picture-in-picture on Max. And I don't really mind commercials. I don't pay attention to the show in picture-in-picture anyway. Like, that's my time to breathe or check Twitter, because I'm watching the show while it's on, and then during the commercial break is when I kind of scroll social media or whatever. So maybe they didn't have picture-in-picture, and I'm just putting words in my mouth. Anyways, Kody, DJ Wavy D's question. In the main event of the New Japan Pro Wrestling weekly show in Tokyo, Japan, Antonio Inoki defeated this former WWE commentator.
Can I get 3 guesses on this? Because I have a couple guesses, but I really don't know. If you allow me 3 guesses, let me have that. And while we kind of wait for his response in the chat, if he'll allow me those 3 guesses, but also be cool, if somebody that may have been affected by the hurricane in Asheville, or anywhere outside of it. It wasn't just Asheville that got really devastated, but believe me, they got hammered. Anybody in that area? I drove along a little bit of I-40 when we came back from Georgia. My wife and daughter and I, from a vacation in October, and we crawled through the extreme western side of North Carolina, up through the Asheville and kind of close to the Hickory area. And just that entire, what if I get it right in the first 2? That made no sense. Jackass. That makes no sense. But anyways, yeah, the entire devastation that we saw along the way was just wild. So if anybody is knowing of anybody who's a big wrestling fan and can make it out to Charlotte Saturday night, that'd be really cool to kind of do something cool to kind of get back a little bit, but and let somebody take advantage of that and just have a fun time Saturday night, or in general, if you're in the Charlotte area and you're free Saturday night, hit up James at IBEJYJ on Twitter. So that way you can watch some wrestling for free. So my first guess, and if I get any one of these right, it's right. I don't care what you say. My first guess is Jesse the Body Ventura.
That's where I was going.
That's what I was thinking. Is that correct, DJ Wavy?
Jesse.
There you go. Do we have an answer? I'm not even looking it up. I'm trying to.
The answer, Jesse Ventura.
There you go. That counts, by the way.
Yes, sir. We might have to do that every week. Just have Wavy D get you a closing question of increasing difficulty, because that's the only wrestler commentator that I knew of that wrestled in New Japan.
This my second guess. If it wasn't that, probably after I think about it, would have probably been a bad guess. But he was a wrestler before he was a commentator. I was going to guess Gorilla Monsoon. It was 1983. I thought maybe that was at the tail end of Gorilla's career, but I went with Jesse Ventura. So I appreciate it. Oh,
It was
Jason
Main
apparently now
Jane.
has a.
It was Main Jane Okerlund.
Hey, does Jason have a question now? It looks like he had a question in the comment.
Yeah, he said, "What's WrestleMania 6 main event?"
Do you know what the WrestleMania 6 main event was, James? I'll let you answer that first.
No, I have no idea. Coco Beware versus some I don't know.
No,
I'm not the historian of the fucking show.
that was WrestleMania 6 at the Toronto Sky Dome in Toronto. That was the Intercontinental title, technically versus world title, but it was just for the world title. It was Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. Hogan lost to Warrior clean in the middle of the ring. Warrior became the WWF and Intercontinental Champion.
All right. Well, speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, speaking of Stardom, speaking of AEW, if you want to kill yourself this weekend, tune in Friday morning at 3 a.m. for Wrestle Kingdom 19. I don't even know the card.
No, will it technically be Saturday morning at 3 a.m.?
Maybe.
So it's January 4th, right?
Yeah, Saturday morning. Yep, Saturday morning at 3 a.m. And then Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, Wrestle Dynasty, Omega versus Gabe Kidd. We got Mina Shirakawa and Mercedes Moné. They changed the match. It used to just be for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. Now it's winner takes all, New Japan Strong Women's Champion and the Rev Pro Women's Champion. I guess because Mercedes Moné was just so convincing with her promo last night. We got several other matches that will be on that show. We got the women's wrestling tournament, Persephone, Athena. Trying to think who AEW has. Willow Nightingale, and Stardom has Mayu Iwatani, I think. I can't remember who the Stardom wrestler is, but some pretty good matches going on. For
Omega's return versus Gabe Kidd.
Jack, what's his name? Konosuke Takeshita has a match if he wins at Wrestle Kingdom against Shingo Takagi. And if whoever wins that has a match for the international belt against somebody else. I can't remember who's second in line there, but really good card. I'm gonna watch it. Probably not live. I have New Japan World, so I'll probably watch it Sunday morning after I wake up. But some good wrestling this
details so I can watch it afterwards.
Yes. It's only 999 yen a month. Anyways,
the price has actually been the same for the past 7 years. That's pretty good.
Right. But yeah, that Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty this weekend. Next week we'll be back with more fun AEW talk. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Netflix show. I'm probably going to watch the Monday Night Raw on Netflix.
Same here.
And see what it's all about. But until next week, y'all, we got a new outro. I hope y'all are excited for this. I worked so hard to create this outro. Anyways, we got a new outro. We'll see y'all next week on the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. If you want to go see free wrestling, follow me on my personal social media. Go to Beyond JunkyardMediaGroup.com. All the links in the description. You know all of this shit. We'll see y'all next week.
Stay saucy, y'all.
Beyond the Junkyard.